So this event is being hosted by Wursta, and a little bit about us before we get started. As a premier Google partner focused in collaboration design, it is our mission to help companies maximize their use of the cloud to develop cultures of continuous innovation powered by real-time collaboration. Offering 24/7 support across Google products and managed services ranging from Google Workspace migrations and optimization to custom app dev to collaboration design workshops, Wursta is the go-to partner for growth-minded companies. I'm now going to turn it over to my esteemed colleagues to get us kicked off.
Hey everybody, really quickly to introduce ourselves, I'm Chris Hopkins-Ward. I'm a change management lead at Wursta, and I have extensive experience in Google Workspace specifically. I actually came to Wursta directly from working inside Google in the meeting room team, and so now I train others on how to use Google as well. And with me is Patrick.
Hello everybody, Patrick Della Pruita, Director of Solutions Architecture at Wursta. 20+ year technology veteran and have been a Google Cloud certified engineer now and working in the Google ecosystem for about 12 years.
Awesome. So today's chat is about MDM, mobile device management, right? And that basically revolves around what's called endpoint management. And Patrick, I am so glad you're here because I'd like you to explain this to everybody. What is basic endpoint management?
Sure. So endpoint management within the Google Workspace ecosystem really is consistent of two tracks. There's advanced and basic. We'll be talking a little bit about basic endpoint management here, but basic endpoint management basically means you as administrators enforcing policies on the smartphones and endpoint devices that your users use every day. So on the smartphone side, you can do things like enforce a passcode. Or for for those times when a device gets lost, you are able to wipe corporate account data from those phones as well.
Gotcha. And really quickly, before we go to the next slide, by endpoint, we mean generally any device, right? Not a single person, but it could be a laptop, it could be a tablet, it could be any real device, right?
That's correct. Endpoint management within the Google Workspace ecosystem does now include things like Windows endpoint management. So using a couple of the features that Google Workspace has built in, you can now control your Windows endpoint devices on top of your smartphone devices.
Gotcha. All right. And as we go to the next slide, I want to talk about how that's important because I don't know if you know this about me, Patrick, but I actually want to start my own company someday in the next year or two. And I think it's going to be like a drone company, but that's getting into the weeds. But really, I'm going to be a great boss and I'm going to give everybody phones for my company, but I want to use MDM so that I make sure a lot of different things. I want to make sure that my data is secure inside those phones. I want to make sure that I can manage all those phones from one place, like in the Google Admin Console, and I don't have to go to third-party different consoles to manage all this stuff. And also, I want to make sure that they're keeping their work phone life separate from their actual personal lives. And then, yeah, so doing that, is there any policies that I can actually set in advance if I give my future workers their phones?
It's great that you're thinking about this in advance, Chris. Yeah. Yes, administrators and organizations do have the capability to stage their policy and stage their devices. So with the feature that Workspace includes called company-owned devices and device approval, so we sort of pair those two together. Company-owned devices basically means that us as administrators, we preload a set of devices via their serial number, via a CSV upload to the admin console to say that this set of 1,000 or 2,000 devices are approved and ready to use within your Workspace tenant. So when your workers receive their phones and are excited to get their accounts set up, they can go in, set up their accounts, and be connected directly to your company data.
That's really handy and useful. Okay. All right. So going into the next slide, what Wursta offers and why people are here today is we offer full basic consultation for MDM, mobile device management. We offer advice on industry and even personal best practices and utilization, and we couple that with our extensive knowledge of Google Workspace. Just like Patrick, there are multiple other people who work at Wursta who have decades of experience working on these kinds of use cases. And then also our MDM consultation package is actually really flexible, suits to your company's needs. So with multi-phase rollouts that go on for months even, or simplified to just like a single consultation if you wanted to. So yeah, and then also I really want to mention that Wursta isn't afraid to like tread off beaten paths, talk about third-party platforms and how they integrate into Google Workspace. We actually have a lot of experience with that. So even if your company uses something like a third-party vendor like AirWatch or Iron Mobile, right?
That's correct. And we can extend that even to the iOS side for things like Jam for Adigy, which we're finding a lot of organizations starting to roll out these days.
All right. Well, Patrick, I've actually, it's good that you're here, and it's good that you're here with me, buddy, because
Nice.
I have to admit something kind of embarrassing. Can you help me with a phone issue like right now? Would you mind?
Right now? Yeah.
I know,
Sure.
it's
What's the
embarrassing.
problem?
All right, fine. Okay, timing is never perfect, but I lost my phone. Can you help me?
Yeah. Remind Android or iPhone?
It's an Android. I'm sorry. I was getting Chipotle. I think I left it back Chipotle. But it's Android.
It is Android. Okay, it doesn't really matter. So we at our organization, we've enabled the option for Find My Phone for both iOS and Android. Have you tried the Find My Phone option?
Yeah, that would work, and that would be really cool. But I also didn't charge my phone, so it died. I'm sorry. I really messed this up. This is embarrassing.
That's all right. I see. It's okay.
But Find My Phone, is that a policy you can enable in the admin console like ahead of time?
It is. Organizations can choose to allow or prevent features like Find My Phone on the iOS side, blocking or allowing things like Siri, Google Assistant on the Android side, and then we talked a little bit about app management, even down to things like which authentication method you can use on your device. So not allowing biometrics, for example, and only allowing passcodes are something that we can control.
All right. What about like downloaded apps? Like what if I wanted to download TikTok and that was not allowed?
That's something I can absolutely stop.
Wow. Okay. Well, Patrick, I'm so glad you actually have a lot of power. Do you know that?
In many ways, Chris, I am all powerful.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, look at him, guys. I mean, well, all right, Patrick, can we use your immense power to help me out then, please?
Yeah, I think so. Let's take a look. I'm just going to open up the admin console here. So we'll log in. You've probably never seen the admin console, Chris, but this is what we as administrators, Google administrators, see every day. Specifically, we're going to navigate into the devices section. We'll see what we can find out about your phone here.
Okay, so you have access to mobile device management on this admin console. Is that usually just one person in a company that does this?
Great question. That's scalable depending on the size of the company. For us, we do have a team that I've delegated that right to. So as the super admin, I do have the ability to create custom help roles or help desk type roles. So we have a team that supports mobile devices directly. But given the situation you're in, Chris, and that we're already on the phone, I will take a look at your device for you.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Again, I'm sorry for messing up. Hey, look at my phone though. There's my Pixel.
There is your Pixel 2. I can see last sync was about an hour ago, so it's been offline for about an hour. Was that your lunch break?
Yep, that was my lunch break. I'm sorry. It could be anything right now.
That's all right. All right. We'll drill down just to give you an idea of what we can see from the administrator side.
Oh, cool.
So I can see that you have enforced management levels. So we have the advanced MDM, basic MDM rolled out to this device. You are compliant with passwords. I can see your serial number. I can see what apps you've installed. So let's make sure you don't have TikTok on here. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I won't put you on the spot like that. But I do think we should go ahead and wipe your company data off of that phone just in case it is picked up by somebody. Are you okay with doing that?
Yeah, go for it. It could be anywhere. We want to secure it down, right?
Yep. So with the click of a few buttons, I can wipe our company data off of your device. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Cool.
That's right. So it is now wiped. So once that phone, if it is offline, battery's dead or whatever, once it comes online, once that command is received, your company data is going to be wiped off of that device.
Gotcha. All right. Well, while we're here, what else can you do with mobile device management?
Sure. There's a lot of things that we can do with mobile device management within the admin console. One of the things that we've helped a lot of organizations with over the last 12, 14 months now in this COVID world that we live in is company approvals. So workforces are dispersed. Workers are connecting to company data from all sorts of devices. So one of the things that we've introduced or helped organizations a lot with is device approvals. And what this allows is for administrators to receive a notification via email to say, Chris has just registered a new Pixel 5 device because he lost his other device. But before he's actually able to connect to our company data, I, as the administrator, have to approve that device. This option is off by default, so it is something that we turned on or helped organizations turn on. So device approvals, along with many other features that we can look at. But
well, Patrick, I've got good news and bad news, but the good news is I found my phone. I'm sorry. It was right here. And actually, look at that. It says on my phone, it says work profile deleted. My work profile is no longer available on my device. What's a work profile?
Good question. Work profile, another optional setting that administrators can configure on Android devices specifically with work profile enabled. This really important on the BYO side of things for organizations using BYO. But work profile essentially allows administrators to enforce separation of personal and work data on a device. So, for example, a set of apps would be preloaded in a work profile that's specific to your company data. This can result or does result in some duplicate apps, but with a slight variance in between them. So, for example, the Gmail app you would actually find on your phone under your work profile and your company profile. But again, it allows you as a personal device owner to feel comfortable that we are not looking at any of your personal data.
Awesome. Well, all right. I'm logging back in. I'm getting my work profile set up again. So maybe that'll happen during this. But if it doesn't, no worries. But you saved my skin, man. You saved our company. I mean, this phone could have been anywhere. So I guess I owe you a drink, right, Patrick?
Nah, not a drink, please.
Okay, fine, not a drink. How about a sandwich or like a Grubhub?
Nah, sorry, keto. No sandwiches, please.
All right, fine. He's picky, guys. How about flowers?
I am in a basement office. I could use a little brightening up, so flowers would be great.
All right, I'm sending you some flowers, Patrick. Okay, and everybody on this call, if you work with Patrick and he does a good job, you got to send him flowers. He likes flowers. What kind?
Sunflowers, please. I think that would look nice down here.
All right. Yep. Hopefully someone will brighten up your room in the future. I like comic books, for the record, as gifts when I don't mess up and lose my phone all the time. I like that. But you know,
I don't think that's likely, Chris.
Oh, thanks, Patrick. You're so sweet. Okay, so one last question, Patrick. Do you know of any other examples where we've helped customers with something that has to do with MDM?
Last year, actually, we talked a little bit about TikTok earlier. I'm sure everybody here remembers TikTok being in the news for mostly bad reasons last year, a lot of security concerns around TikTok. We had an organization approach us, and they had a mandate from the top down. They wanted to block the use of TikTok immediately on all of their devices. The company had not been engaged with any sort of MDM configuration at that point. So we quickly got in the span of about a week. We were able to not only control all of their devices from an MDM perspective, but preload and whitelist only the applications that they wanted them to use and block things like TikTok.
Awesome. I can see how that could be really useful, especially when any of these apps can get violated or hacked or something like that.
Absolutely.
All right. Wow. Well, that was an adventure and a half. I'm glad we figured out my phone.
I'm glad you found your phone.
All right. Let's go through the recap of what we just did then.
All right.
And generally, this recap would be all my fault, but that's all right. I can take the blame today. So we talked about enabling MDM in Google Workspace. We talked about provisioning application on the devices, and because of me and my fault, we talked about remotely securing lost and stolen devices. Again, sorry guys, that was my bad. The tangent we went on, and then we talked about updating equipment and applications in scalable manner. So if my company gets to be 200 to 2,000 people, I can still roll out these devices and these policies at scale, right, Patrick?
That's absolutely right.
Okay. Awesome. And then we talked about monitoring, tracking equipment, and then how to diagnose and troubleshoot equipment remotely, which is something we can also do in the admin console, correct?
That is absolutely right.
Wow. So, all right. So we really covered the gambit when it comes to MDM. I really appreciate everybody's patience in going through that huge setback that I went through. But with that, I feel like we can move on to whoever is here in the audience's question and answer. But before that, Dave has to announce what is our next scheduled events coming up.
Yeah, there's two great ways to take next steps with us. One of them is the upcoming events. Chris and Patrick have done a great job keeping this entertaining. They told me that they could make endpoint management fun and silly, and I wasn't sure they could do it, and I think they've delivered nicely, while also delivering some great content here, so thank you guys. We have a bunch of upcoming events in our resources section under the About Us at our website, so please go there and check those out and get registered for them if you haven't. We'll continue to add new ones there. The other thing we want to offer everybody here on this call today is a free endpoint management workshop. So if you're already on Google, we can hop in there and kind of go through all this stuff with you guys. If you are not on Google, we can set up a demo domain so that you can play around with it. It will be a limited number of users, but the really cool thing about that too is it also lets you see shadow IT, folks that are actually already probably using Drive that you just might not know about. So we'll also help you find that stuff if you're not on Google. Our sales team will be reaching out to you guys to get something scheduled, an initial conversation to see if that's of interest to you guys. With that being said, let's jump into Q&A. If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. Anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to know a little bit more about, we have a few minutes left here, about 10 minutes left here to cover any questions that you guys might have.
Also, really quickly, if I may, Patrick, I think my device needs to be approved now. Can you check?
I sure can. Let's go back into the admin console. I'm just going to refresh the page, and there we go. So the device approval live in action. So Chris's device has checked back in. We can see it's pending approval. I do fear that he's going to lose it again, but given his dependency on company data and knowing that we can control this in the future, I will go ahead and approve that device.
Thank you, sir.
This may come back to bite me, but
I promise I'll be more careful when I'm getting Chipotle. My bad.
Okay, and that is now approved. If we go back into devices.
Oh, yep, my screen just changed. It's now approved.
There it is. We are approved, and we are starting to see details of your device being synced into our admin console. Excellent.
Nice. Now it's installing apps that are provisioned in this account. So I'm now installing Voice, Meet, Gmail, and Calendar. Boom, done.
Excellent. Excellent.
Great.
This is focused on smartphones, but how about Windows and Macs? Great question. We talked a little bit about Windows at the beginning. Google is doing a lot of great things around Windows management. So not only can you now manage Windows devices kind of like an iPhone, so Windows 10 and above, like a smartphone, in terms of enforcing policies, etc. Google also now offers what they call GCPW, or Google Credential Provider, for Windows. I'm actively engaged in a couple of customer projects rolling this specific feature out. What GCPW does is changes the login behavior for your Windows, your corporate-owned Windows 10 devices. No longer does it need to be bound to AD and use an AD username and password to log in, or a local username and password. With GCPW, you can now redesign the login window to use your Google email address and password. Everything stays in sync in terms of passwords, etc. But you can use your Google email address and password to log into your Windows workstations. On the Mac side, there is no equivalent to things like Jam for Adigy at this time. So you can't push out like an MDM profile to Mac devices. I believe it's coming from Google. I just don't have any timing. That's more speculation than any sort of concrete evidence, but I believe that Google will be playing in this space at some point in the future.
Thanks. And we just got another question about GCPW, if it can work under Okta too.
GCPW can work under Okta as well. So or another single sign-on solution that you may be using, such as OneLogin. So basically, you would be redirected. Your initial login screen would be your Google email address and password. That'll redirect to a second login window, which in some cases isn't the most user-friendly experience, but it is supported. Just to throw it out there as well, since we're on SSO, Google Workspace does offer SSO services. So if you are an organization using things like Okta or OneLogin and are considering potentially reducing your tech debt or your tech stack, Google SSO can absolutely take the place of what Okta and OneLogin is doing, including things like dashboards for landing pages, for your application stacks, things like that. So yes, it is supported with Okta.
Awesome, great. Thanks everybody for joining us today, and have a wonderful Tuesday.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Chris